Imagine you're playing a game where you roll a die and win if you get a 2. If you roll once, your chance of winning is low, about 16.7%. But if you are rolling multiple times, your chance of eventually getting a 2 increases. In statistics, something similar happens when you repeatedly analyze your data. Each time you look at your results and check for significance, you increase the chances of finding something just by chance, even if there's no real effect. In statistics, alpha is the probability of making a false positive error, detecting an effect when there isn't one. When you test multiple times, each test has a chance of falsely detecting significance. Over multiple tests, these chances add up, making it more likely that at least one test will show a false positive. To prevent this from happening, we need to keep alpha in check. You may hear the approach used by statisticians is called multiplicity control. This is basically a way to adjust for multiple comparisons and keep the overall false positive rate, family-wise error rate, under control. Suppose the overall alpha needs to be controlled at 0.05 and you want to look at the data 3 times before stopping. Then your last look will have to compare with an alpha level less than 0.05 because you spent some alpha in the previous 2 looks. Then the subsequent question will be how to allocate the alpha at each look. The simplest approach would be Bonferroni correction. This is a simple but conservative approach where you divide alpha by the number of tests. For example, if alpha equals to 0.05 and you test 5 times, each test should use alpha equal to 0.01. The most commonly used approach in clinical trial is group sequential methods. Let's look at an example of how group sequential method is used in clinical trials. Imagine a clinical trial testing a new cancer drug. The trial is designed to run for at least 2 years in order to observe the number of events required for the study power, but researchers don't want to wait that long if the drug is clearly effective or harmful. So they decide to check the results when 50% interim analysis 1 and 75% interim analysis 2 of the required events are observed. Since they plan to check multiple times on the data, the chance of getting a false positive increases with each look. If we don't adjust for this, we might mistakenly declare efficacy for a drug that doesn't actually work. To control for multiple looks at the data, we can use group sequential methods like O'Brien-Fleming boundaries. This approach places a stricter significance threshold for early checks. For example, at first interim analysis, it might require p-value less than 0.005 instead of p-value less than 0.05, but relaxes it later as more data comes in. Other approaches such as Pocock method, which sets a consistent, more stringent threshold across all time points, can be used. In my experience, the O'Brien-Fleming method is used more often. So in summary, by making you lose some alpha each time you look at the data, we protect against premature conclusions while still allowing early decisions if there's overwhelming evidence. All right, that's about today's topic. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you understand the importance of alpha control in clinical research. If you found this content useful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more insights on oncology and biostatistics. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. See you in the next video.